square feet for $40,000 a month. Yeah, you're going to have one.
Michael Chastanet says the present government has little to show for its almost 2 years in office. The local business tycoon says the economic climate is being affected as a result. But he is not blaming the Prime Minister entirely. He says 2 cabinet members are calling the shots, and it has become increasingly obvious that the Prime Minister cannot control his team.
December will be 2 years that the United Workers' Party is in power. We have heard of many plans to do great projects, and we haven't seen anything substantial physically take place. I'm not disputing the fact that there are not negotiations taking place behind the scenes, but in my view, something tangible should have taken place.
Chastanet says the 2 men are putting undue pressure on Prime Minister King, who bends powerless at their feet. He says it might be time for the opposition to step in. He says the SLP has a few good men and should offer assistance and advice to the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister King has serious problems on his hand. He's not capable of controlling the cabinet that he has now. And that is principally because of 2 ministers who give him a very, very difficult time. And I personally think that for the good of St. Lucia, that the Labour Party, whoever they may be, whoever is the leader of the Labour Party or the honchos in the Labour Party, need to think of St. Lucia first. And here's what I think should be done. It's being done in the Senate today, where the Republicans and the Democrats are getting together to support a bill. I see no reason at all why the St. Lucia Labour Party cannot have consultations with Prime Minister King. They have some very good people in the Labour Party. Bring in 2-3 people within the party to vote with Prime Minister King and give him the influence and the power to make whatever decisions he has to make. That if he has any ministers who are misbehaving and leading the country astray, they should be taught a lesson.
It is not the first time a faction of cabinet is being accused of having the Prime Minister under its thumb. Talk of a Super 8 first emerged during the illness of the late Sir John Compton, while earlier this year a small faction of cabinet members called for King's resignation. Chastanet says the 2 members command the King's control buttons, and St. Lucia cannot afford to become a joke again.
We have come too far in our life to be looked upon as a laughing stock in this country, whereby that a group of people are controlling a Prime Minister. A Prime Minister is the boss. A captain has one ship, or else the ship will go aground. Okay? I may be totally out of place what I'm saying, but I honestly feel that this is one of the ways to move forward. I mean, one can say, the Prime Minister Kenny Anthony say, well, okay, fine, if Mr. King can't run the country, go back to the polls. That's another option, okay? But then, you know, you're dealing with human beings. There are some people who will say, look, I'd rather suffer and go out and stick out the other 3 years and do what I have to do, rather than have an association of some sort. But I think what is going on today is unacceptable and should not be allowed to go on.
The businessman says 2 major projects could save the government's image. He says if implemented successfully, the IGY Marina expansion at Rodney Bay and the multi-million-dollar Hess refinery could stem the tide of public disappointment in the Stephenson King administration. Chastanet says failure to accomplish these goals would be disastrous for the government. Alison Kentish, HTS News, Channel 4.